to this episode of The Breakdown. We're going to do a little demonstration now, so go watch it, and after that video we're going to break down everything and talk about that whole technical series. See you there. Okay, so as you can see, a little less kickboxing today. We're doing mostly about weapons, in particular the knife, and I have a little story behind that. So before I go into why I'm holding these up, years ago I did Tang Soo Do, and we wouldn't learn anything about knife defense until maybe black belt. And when we got to black belt, it was 5 crappy one-step sparring style knife drills that were not very realistic. And you know, I did them because I thought they were cool. I was a kid, but we would stab here, for example, long, grandiose hammer strike this way, which would never really happen in reality. And in my mind, I knew these were kind of BS, that they just weren't good. And there was one black belt in our group. She was my junior, and she was doing some high-level security work. She got hired. And one of it, they said, you got to get some legit knife training. And so they put her through some intense training. And I kid you not, she was robbed in front of our studio and kidnapped by box cutter. This was after Hurricane Andrew here in Homestead. And forced to go to a restaurant down the road, and when she didn't have any money, he proceeded just to slash her, just go ballistic. And she instinctually did what she did in her security training, not her Tang Soo Do training. She got her hands up, so the back of the arms got cut, so she was able to move her hands. So this is all meat, but if you get cut here, it's very difficult. She broke the guy's ribs with a side kick, and that's how she won. And she drove back to the studio bloody, and had to call fire rescue. My instructor at the time was like, you see, she didn't trust her Tang Soo Do. That's why she got stabbed. So I think she lived because she had extra training. And we got into an argument about it, and he kind of took it that I was a 20-year-old like punk. I think she lived because she had extra training. It's not from this, because this is not realistic. And if you listen to her story, the guy didn't attack her like this. He went here, he went fast, and that's the thing about it. So that's what my personal journey was, and I studied, although I'm not a big fan of all the Filipino knife fighting combat tactics, because I think a lot of them are kind of like theory-based, and I basically keep it simple, because in reality, it's going to have to be very simple to learn, to use, to implement, and to be able to defend yourself. And number 2, have some rules. You know, don't teach kids this. I don't teach anyone under 16. I have a kind of curriculum that introduces them to it, but they're not ready for that, because this is pretty drastic. You're teaching people how to hold this. Now, why I have these 2? I prefer to use something similar to these 2. This is my favorite, an actual metal knife. I also have a practice pocket folder I can't find. Those are pretty good. This Danto is okay. It's nice. You know, it's got a firm. It feels heavy. It doesn't move. Now, the one you want to avoid, I've said this in other videos, is the plastic rubber knives. They just flimsy. They go like this, so they're not that good. And when you practice disarms, they're not going to be that great. So I'm going to use this one like I did before. Now, the thing about knife fighting is you're going to use either a common grip, fencer's grip, hammer grip this way, or an ice pick, and then the hammer grip coming here. This is your most common because it has more accuracy. I can come in this way. I can strike. This one is for kind of speed, the fencer. I come here and I can do a quick little switch if I have to switch to an ice pick this way. Ice pick is just a confusing grip. I can come in all sorts of angles. Then the hammer, it's not very strong and sturdy, but it's meant for a big power slash. Now, most of your fighters are going to either be a fencer. I use a fencing position a lot, lead hand. Or they're going to use a boxing position, which is the backhand. Fencing is more accurate. Boxing position is more powerful. So you're going to go between the 2. When I want to stab, come in, and then I switch feet, and I go into a power slash. That's where I get to. Now, if you look at those moves, if I was doing Tang Soo Do still, I wouldn't be putting my hands up to do this. This is lunacy. Someone has a knife, you're better off finding a weapon to kind of counteract it. But if you have to engage, you have to engage. But to learn how to defend, you got to learn how to use it. So we hold the knife here. And we practice striking a target. We practice slashing here, slashing the arm, slashing this way. Okay, so we practice with our free hand here, cutting this way. Now, I can be just as deadly defending with a knife. I don't have to worry about having to disarm. If I have a knife and he has a knife, I'm going to use the knife. If he has a knife I don't, I'm going to find some kind of weapon. I'm not going to sit there and try and like engage open-handed unless I have no other choice. I told my students, find a stick, chair, rock, anything if you can't get away. Because if they're kind of erratic, you have a chance. But if they're trained and they do this, you have no chance on the planet. I don't care how good you are or how level black belt you are. If you haven't trained with a knife, anybody with some basic training is going to get you. It's the truth. So that's my video for today. A little longer, but we had a lot to discuss. So practice on something. Practice your foot positions. Practice slashing. Practice the grips. Okay, more to come. Have a great week, guys. Always keep it kicking.